What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Now, welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed. Child, today, the guy we are talking about is a whole hot mess, okay? Before we get into all of that, I have to take a moment to thank Native for sponsoring today's video. Native is an amazing brand that gives you the opportunity to explore making the switch to clean personal products at an affordable cost. Their products are cruelty-free, aluminum and paraben-free, and also vegan with a fairly simple ingredient list. I have 3 of their aluminum-free deodorants: lilac and white tea, lavender and rose, and sweet peach and nectar. They all smell amazing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, even though they said that it was 72 hours of odor protection, it's so lightweight, like you literally barely can feel it. So when I first put it on, I was a little skeptical. I felt like by noon I'd be smelling like a Wendy's burger, okay? But no. It keeps mama fresh all day. They also just launched the Candy Shop collection this month that I have to try. Gummy bear, sour berry belts, sweet cinnamon hearts, and strawberry vanilla taffy. Baby, sign me up. I want to smell like candy because why not? They also offer a plastic-free version of their deodorant. And I also have the cucumber and mint body wash, which is almost empty. I have been using this faithfully. I really love it. 3 deodorants will run you $39, but if you use my link and code Vaughn, you'll get them for $26. That's over 33% off. With my code, you can also get 20% off any body wash or lotion. Great deal. I'm enjoying the products that I have so far. I'm confident that you will too. So check out the Native brand, and again, thank you Native for sponsoring today's video. Now on to today's very messy video. Okay, now today's video, guys and gals, is about Christian Gerhardt's writer. And if I'm saying that wrong, girl, Google has led me astray because I asked her, how do you pronounce this? And that's what she said. Take it up with her. Now, little Christian here is born in a small town in Germany called Bergen. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Y'all know how this goes already. You know, I'm doing my best, okay? And he was born in 1961. Now, his parents say his birthday was February 21st. But he himself claims his birthday is February 29th. I'm more inclined to believe them because they were there. Technically, he was too, but you know, he wasn't. He can't be trusted, basically, and you'll see why. Either way, be it the 21st or the 29th, this is a Pisces. So there's that. Chris is raised in a very small town and is reportedly a child with a very vivid and wild imagination. His father is in the landscaping business and his mother works as a seamstress. Financially, I mean, they're not well off, but they do pretty okay. And he has a very average childhood. Now, at age 17, while Chris is traveling on the train, he meets an American couple who is visiting Germany. Christian and the couple engage in small talk, and at the end of their conversation, they tell him that if he's ever in Berlin, Connecticut, over in the US, they would gladly host him and show him around, you know, show him a good time. They exchange contact information, and he assures them that he will. They part ways, and he tells them, I'll see you later. Then he goes on about his business, as do they, and little do they know later would be a lot sooner than they had anticipated. Just a couple of months later, 17-year-old Chris bids Germany goodbye and purchases himself a one-way ticket to the US. Now, at the U.S. airport, he tells immigration that an American couple had offered to allow him to live with them while he was in school, which is somewhat true because, yes, he had met an American couple who had opened their house to them, but they were thinking more like a weekend, not like a semester or 2 or 3. They had not even spoken with him since and had no idea that he was showing up in the U.S. right here, right now. When he suddenly arrives at their front door, they are taken aback, a little shocked, but they're happy to see him nonetheless. He is a familiar face. They invite him inside, and he somehow manages to convince them to allow him to stay with them for a few months as a foreign exchange student. He tells this family that his family is very wealthy, and he is the son of European aristocrats. Is it a aristocrat or aristocat? Because I feel like Aristocat was that little movie. And he'd actually told his parents back home that he had gotten this great job as a DJ at a popular New York radio station, which was a lie, of course. Now, this family does not mind him crashing for a little while. However, Chris has developed this idea of what he thinks a wealthy aristocrat is and how they act. And he is completely committed to the role. He refuses to do any housework whatsoever because he claims that he is used to all of these things being done for him. He does not want to wash his own clothes. He doesn't want to do anything for himself. And he makes it very clear that he expects them to do these things for him. He also expects his breakfast to be ready and waiting for him each morning. Chris dedicates a lot of his free time familiarizing himself with subjects that would make him appear a lot smarter than he is, like the stock market, physics, and fine art, things of that nature. And his demeanor is a very condescending one. Needless to say, he very quickly wears out his welcome with this nice family. Then Chris decides that he wants to pursue a career in acting. However, the name Christian Gerhardt's writer does not have this certain je ne sais quoi of a big-time Hollywood actor. So he decides to create an alias, which will be one of many. Christopher Kenneth Gerhardt. And he do sound like he been in some credits, I ain't gonna lie. It's low-key giving Golden Globe. I think that's the right award. I'm not sure. If it's not, I'm sure somebody gonna tell me. After he is kicked out of their home, he relocates to Wisconsin and enrolls at the University of Wisconsin. But he is not all that interested in school. He has a whole nother motive in mind. Find someone his age to marry so that he can become a U.S. citizen because he's liking it here. He meets 22-year-old Amy Dunk, and after the two date for a while, he tells her that he has this dilemma. In order to remain in the U.S., he'd have to obtain a green card, and the easiest way for him to do this is through marriage. But he insists that he is not just marrying her for citizenship, that he really feels like they have a good thing going, and he doesn't want to have to leave her. He does not want to be torn from her arms by immigration. And that wouldn't even be the worst of it. He tells her that if this does happen, if he is sent back to Germany, he will be drafted against his will and sent to fight in the war on the front lines. And that was a lie too, actually. However, Amy does not know this. She trusts her man and she wants to do whatever she can to help him out. Amy agrees to the marriage, and literally the very next day, he leaves her, headed to California to pursue his Hollywood dreams. Arriving in California, he opts to switch his name to a different alias. And I'm not sure if he did this because he did not want Amy to be able to find him. I'm assuming that might be the case, but I don't know for sure. That's just my own speculation. He is now going by the name Christopher Mountbatten Chichester, which is an odd choice, but okay. He felt like it sounded fancy. He settles into the Los Angeles suburb of San Marino after he finds an elderly and reclusive woman and convinces her to allow him to move into her guest room or guest house. He convinces this lady that he is the descendant of British royalty. Child. He said, new town, new me. Now, Chris was widely regarded as semi-handsome but very charismatic, very charming, and highly intelligent. Ruth, the older lady, is actually enjoying his company, and she is more than happy to have him there in her home. He enrolls into classes at the University of Southern California Film School and finesses a local TV station into giving him a little public access show of his own. Now, so far, things are going very much according to planning. He is very comfortable with where he is and how things are turning out. But his smooth sailing situation hits a bit of a snag when Ruth's son and daughter-in-law, John and Linda, also need to move into Ruth's house for a little while. Now, John finds Chris to be quite odd, and he is very curious about him, as I imagine any son would be. Like, why are you here living on my mom's property? He is asking a lot of questions because something about this young man living on his mother's property is just not sitting right with him, and he feels like something is definitely up. He is also concerned because his mother has a bit of an issue with alcohol, and he feels like she has not historically made the best decisions. And something about this whole situation seemed a bit off. He felt like Chris might be taking advantage of his mother, and his suspicions are confirmed when he finds out that Chris has access to his mother's money. And not only that, Chris is out here using his mother's money to purchase designer clothing, designer items, other expensive things, and Ruth doesn't appear to be all that concerned when John raises his concerns to her. In January of 1985, Linda, John's wife, tells her friends of a job offer that she had received from the government that she is extremely excited about. But she is not at liberty to go into much detail about it. Like, it's very top secret. All she is at liberty to say is that her and her husband John have to travel to New York for 2 weeks, and they're scheduled to leave for the trip on February 8th. However, their return date comes and goes without anybody hearing from them. Linda and John had boarded their cats at a facility and had listed Sue, her friend, as an emergency contact in case anything had gone wrong with them. But after those 2 weeks come and go and several more weeks pass, they call up Sue to see why has this lady not picked up her cats. Now, one thing Sue knows about Linda is that she loves her cats and she would have never abandoned them. So this is a huge red flag. She immediately reaches out to Ruth, and Ruth tells her that this is actually no cause for concern at all, and that John and Linda are actually on their first secret mission with the government, and they are not at liberty to contact the family right now. The cat still being at the facility was probably just an oversight. Either that, or she just simply could not reach out to anybody to tell them to go get her babies. Several more weeks go by without anybody hearing from John or Linda. And when Sue reaches out to Ruth again, Ruth tells her that the couple has now gone to Paris, that she had heard from them, everything was fine, and that they are currently over in Paris. Now, the first time around, Sue was willing to kind of back off and just see, give it time to see if she shows up. However, Sue knows that if Linda told her that she was going to New York, she damn sure would have told her she was going to Paris. Like, who does not tell their close friend that they have a trip coming up to go to Paris? At this point, she is convinced that something has happened to her friend, and she is determined to get to the bottom of it. She reaches out to Linda's sister, Kathy, and she also contacts the police station. Officers go out to speak to Ruth, and Ruth, of course, tells them the same thing that she's been telling Sue. And so at this point, they decide that there is nothing to see here. This couple has gone off to travel, and they are grown and can do that, okay? And almost immediately after the police visit to the home, friends and family members of Linda's receive postcards from France signed Linda and John. When Sue gets her postcard, she immediately reports it to the police because she is not buying it at all. It's very suspicious. She is sure that this postcard did not come from her friend. However, she cannot prove that. There is no evidence of foul play, so police do not proceed with the investigation into their disappearance. No one is quite sure why Ruth doesn't seem all that pressed about her son and daughter-in-law's disappearance, but the answer to that comes about 5 months after they disappear, when Ruth shows up at the police station to file a missing persons report herself. But it is not for her son and daughter-in-law. It's for her house guest, Christopher, who has suddenly gone missing. This is especially worrisome for Ruth because Chris had been her only contact for her son while he was out on these secret missions. He was only allowed to talk to one person, which was Chris. And Chris relayed all of his messages to Ruth. Now Chris is suddenly left without warning, and not only is he missing, but John and Linda's truck is missing as well. He done took their little car and ran. Despite Ruth's concern, police continue to treat this as a voluntary missing persons case, and John and Linda are never seen or heard from again. In the following years, Ruth's health begins to decline, and she becomes very dependent on a couple, Don and Linda, that she had met through Chris before he up and ran off on her. This couple persuades Ruth to sell her home to them, and in the deal, a $40,000 loan is taken out for Linda, and Ruth moves into a mobile home where the couple operates a trailer business. Additionally, Ruth removes her son John from her will and makes Linda Weatherby the person in charge of all of her personal affairs. She really, really trusted these people. In 1988, a couple of years later, Ruth passes away, and Linda Weatherby takes control of her assets as they had discussed before her passing. She takes the money that she had inherited from Ruth and she satisfies that $40,000 loan. She goes and pays that off. Meanwhile, Christian here has settled himself over in Connecticut and has taken on yet another alias. Christian Rockefeller. He is flying under the radar and living a very low-key life. He finesses his way into a position as an executive at a brokerage firm, but he is fired when the company discovers that the social security number that he had put on his little application actually belonged to David Berkowitz, which is the son of Sam, a whole convicted serial killer. Like, how did you even have David's social security number? Were y'all cool? Like, were y'all friends? I feel like, I don't know if I'm just familiar with the Son of Sam case or if I've done the Son of Sam case. On this channel at this point, girl, we like 150 videos in, so I may have talked about him. I don't know. After getting fired, though, he manages to finesse himself into 2 more very high-level jobs. And child, it does not take long for them to realize each time that something is not quite right with Christopher. Chris is a very charismatic, very crafty individual, okay? And he almost slips up when he sells John's truck without the registration, because the guy that got the truck from him attempts to go get registration for the car using just the VIN number. And during this exact same time, police back in San Marino have reopened the case of the disappearance of John, Linda, and their truck. They catch up with the man who had actually purchased the vehicle, and he tells them that he had gotten the truck from a man by the name of Christopher Crow. Child, he had made up a whole separate name to sell off the vehicle. But they very quickly determined that Christopher Crow and Christopher Chichester are obviously the same man. They just gotta find him. With the help of the Connecticut authorities, they attempt to locate him, but they are unsuccessful in their search efforts. However, in the process of looking through the vehicle and things, they are able to retrieve what they believe to be his fingerprints. But after so much time goes on with them getting nothing beyond the fingerprints, the case goes cold and is shelved. Yet again, while Chris continues to finesse his way through life, posing as a well-off member of the very famous, very wealthy Rockefeller family. Very much giving Inventor Anna. Like, at this point, they like the same person. In 1992, Amy, his wife, that he had bamboozled for citizenship, she files for divorce from him because she don't even know where he at. He done ran off and she never seen him again. And honey, little Chris is somewhere creating yet another alias. He becomes James Frederick Mills Clark Rockefeller. That's a lie. Still a member of the Rockefeller family, just like a different cousin, I guess. He makes his rounds within the upper class social circles, fooling people into believing that he had a little bit of money. And in 1993, he meets Sandra Balls, who is 7 years younger than him and really does have money. The two of them meet at a very swanky little cocktail party, and she is very charmed by James, who introduces himself as Clark Rockefeller. Clark turns up the charm, and little Sandra falls for him very hard and fast. Okay, she is in love, enamored. The two of them get married 3 years later. He's very committed, I'll tell you that. But as the years progress, there are sides of her husband that surface and completely blindside her. He becomes very controlling, very mean, occasionally violent, and she, as well as other people inside of their circle, are beginning to question his identity and his past. Things are just not really adding up, because despite being a member of this very, very wealthy family, he seems to never have any access to their funds or resources, nor is he able to hold down a job for long. Now, he can go out there and interview and secure him a nice little job at the top, but he is never able to hold on to the job for more than a couple of months. Now, he does have access to his wife's money, which he uses to buy himself nice designer tailored suits, antique cars. He even has an extensive fine art collection. He is out here living his American dream, all on Sandra's dime. And Sandra and their mutuals are comparing notes, and things are not quite adding up. The math ain't math. Now, meanwhile, back at Ruth's house, where the Weatherbees are living, they have decided that it is time for them to renovate the place. And one thing that they're the most excited about is having a pool installed in the backyard. Now, during the excavation process, contractors run into skeletal remains that are obviously human. These remains have been wrapped in cellophane and then wrapped in several plastic bags that have the University of Wisconsin as well as the University of Southern California printed on them. And they are able to positively identify these remains as John's, Ruth's son. An autopsy reveals that John has suffered blunt force trauma to the head, and they suspect that this crime, of course, had occurred on the property, so they used luminol to see if there was blood splatter inside the home. And sure enough, large blood splatter stains, as well as a huge pool of blood, had once covered the guest house floor. However, somebody had cleaned it up, but not good enough because luminol is always going to tell you the tea. It is then theorized that Chris had to have been behind this. They believe that from the time that he had moved into her home, his motive was to get her for everything that he could in the meantime and somehow take over her assets when she had died. But Linda and John moving into the home had completely derailed all of that. The only thing that doesn't quite make sense is if that is the case and he had gotten rid of them, why would he then just disappear 5 months later? Regardless, they are convinced that this is what he had done, and he was definitely guilty wherever he was in the world, which remains a question for over a decade. And y'all, he over there getting on Sandra's nerves. Little do they know. Shout out to the Jamaicans that watch me. Oh no, I just felt that in my spirit. The two of them welcome a baby girl, and unfortunately for Sandra, things just continue to get even more weird and chaotic with her husband. So in 2006, she decides that she's had enough. She is feeling as though even after over 10 years of marriage to this man, she still has no idea who he really is. She decides to hire a private investigator to look into his background, and when she finds out that her husband, literally everything he's told her has been a lie, she immediately files for divorce. She also takes their daughter and she relocates to the UK. Now, because Christopher does not want the courts looking too hard into his background, he just accepts the terms of the divorce, which is actually kind of in his favor. He gets $800,000 in the settlement. However, as far as their daughter, he is only granted 3 visits per year, and they have to be supervised. The only thing that Chris had not faked was his love for his daughter, and so this is a huge blow to him. 3 visits a year just did not sit right with his soul. From the moment that he had agreed to these terms, he had also begun plotting on ways to get her back with him full time. In 2008, during one of their supervised visits, Chris grabs their 7-year-old daughter and runs off with her. Y'all, the little social worker just didn't even have a chance, okay? The abduction makes national news. And although they have the wrong name, the right face is being plastered everywhere. At this point, investigators are plagued with, that's not Clark Rockefeller, his name is Chris, his name is James, his name is this, his name is that. And it's just a whole mess. The FBI gets involved and quickly confirms that he is not any of these names, nor is he affiliated in any way with the Rockefeller family. However, they are still unable to physically locate him. Once more, he finds himself a new place to settle in, which is Baltimore, Maryland. He gets an apartment for he and his daughter and establishes yet another identity. Charles Smith, aka Chip, a sea captain. For a week, he hides out in the apartment with his daughter, and the FBI finally catches up to him. They are able to lure him out of the apartment, and as soon as he walks out, they surround and arrest him. Now, their daughter is unharmed and reunited with her mother, and initially, he is only charged with the abduction of the child. He enters an insanity plea, which does not work. He is ultimately found guilty and sentenced to 7 years. But unbeknownst to him, the other skeletons in his closet have now been exposed, literally, and the police have been building a case against him to then charge him for the death of John. His fingerprints are a match to the ones that they have found inside of the truck. Finally, everybody that had encountered him learns his real, true identity. Christian Karl Gerhardt's writer. To all of their surprise, a German citizen who had come to the U.S. at the age of 17 and had been conning and finessing ever since. Now, some of the most damning evidence against him was the fact that those universities that were printed on the plastic bags, he had enrolled at some point in both of those. And I just feel like that wasn't that smart, because I'm not going to tell nobody how to commit murder, but I'm just saying it's trash bags with nothing on. They also found out that around the time that John and Linda had first disappeared, he had attempted to sell a rug. But the person had come to look at the rug and there was blood on it, and they were like, yeah, no. In 2011, he is formally charged with John's murder, is found guilty and sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. Now, to this day, Linda's remains have not been found. They do not know where she is or what happened, but they are sure that whatever happened to her happened at the hands of Chris, although he claims to be innocent of all of the things, like guilty of nothing, wrongfully accused. Now, get this. On Linda Weatherby's deathbed, she confesses that yes, the couple was killed as part of a financial scam to take over Ruth's assets. And Chris had masterminded the entire thing, which I feel like is so wrong, because after Chris disappeared, Don and Linda Weatherby continued to take advantage of this older woman and take over her house, take out the loan. Like, child, they should have taken her from her deathbed, girl, and put her in jail on a death cot, in my opinion. I was about to say at least she told the truth before she passed away, but Miss Thing was probably trying to clear her conscience and get to heaven real quick. Girl, a mess. Anywho, that is it for today's video. I hope you like the look. Don't forget to check out some of those native products if you have not. Like the video, leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's talk about it. Share the video with a friend, subscribe if you have not. As always, I really appreciate you spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. Now, I'm enjoying all the part. Blah, 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 blah. What? Bella, do not. What are you even licking? There's a piece of ice in Blue's bowl. He's trying to get it out. Did you get it? He did get it. Okay. Oh, you pretty girl. What's up, mommy? You're such a pretty girl. Who's that? Is that Blue? Is that your Blue? Hey, Papa. Hi. You come to say hi too? Y'all gotta realize I got things to do. And I love y'all, but shoot. Bars. Your mama could have been a rapper. And it ain't too late. Maya girl, put me on a song. Girl, I'm not picking you up. You cannot come here making demands. You don't have that authority. Girl, I don't care about you crying. Especially if he is trying to go to school. However, Chris has this, Bella, this certain je ne sais quoi. Stop. That a big house, pig. What do you want? What? Hi, beautiful. Do not. You smell like cereal milk. Why are you trying to lick my foundation off? He relocates to the University of Wisconsin where he enrolls. No, he didn't. What am I talking about? And the easiest way for him to do that, he settles into the Los Angeles suburb of What is that? What is a suburb? Blue is back there humping his bear. He is snorting with every other pump. I am disturbed. This couple persuades Linda. No, they don't, because Linda is in the couple. This couple persuades Ruth to sell her home to them. I think I just call her Ruth. Like on a house. The case goes closed. That's what it did. The case goes cold. He's out here literally living his dream on Amy's dime. No, this is not Amy. This is Sandra. Amy done left. Bella don't want me talking to y'all. She won't. She wants me talking. She wants me to only talk to her. Baby girl, we're almost done. Please. And they are able to, what? Belinda and Chris, no. Real name, Christian Carl Gertz High John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. I don't know how you say it, girl. I done forgot. It's been so long. That's been like an hour ago. Scam to take over Ruth's access. Part